Yeah, hi there and welcome back, and let us continue. So let's start with our GetMaxId and let us make use of the result set. So I'll just duplicate this one and I'll just comment out this one. And over here what we have to do is we have to return the return type resu result set, and type is of int because the GetMaxId will return the integer type. And I think I can just copy this section. So just copy this section and paste it over here, and then just set this one over here. Okay, that should be fine. And if I go to get max ID, so it's returning the max ID of the integer type. Let me remove the nullable from here, and then over here we also have to pass the annotation of the insert. So don't forget to pass the annotation over there. Now let us go to the view model. So in the view model we have to fix all of this. So I'll just make use of the view model scope dot the launch, and in context I'll pass the dispatcher dot the main, and inside this coordinate scope we will launch our background thread and the dispatcher dot the IO over here, and inside this we will perform all of our tasks. I think I can just copy the same thing from here. I think this is the one that we need. Just copy and paste it over here, and I need to get the max ID. So get the max ID from here and check for the result if it is success. And this is returning, if you go over to it is returning the int or the null. So it should return the null or the integer value. So we have to check over here, and I can remove this one. So I'll just check if condition over here. So if the result dot the data, and if the result dot the data is not equals to null. So if it is not null, then we are going to perform this action. Just copy this section and paste it over here. So that should be off to get the task by the ID. So here I have to pass the result set the data dot to string and set the max record ID. So I also have to paste it over here. So if it is not null, then we are going to do this one, right? So if it is not null, then if it is null, then we have to set the value as the 0. So if it is null, and else part, I have to make use of this. The result set is of null, so I have to here the max ID. So I need to set the max ID value. So for that I will just copy the same thing, and I can just pass it over here, and here I will just pass it as the I think I have to pass the max ID of the 0, and here I need to pass the max ID as a 0, right? So here if you take a look, the max ID, if it is null, then we are setting it to 0, and then we are just doing everything. So that should be, I think, good enough. Or you can also perform the same like max ID over here. So I can just make use of the similar way. Well, the max ID is equals to by default of a 0. Then if the max ID is not equals to null, then I can just go and set the value for the max ID, which is of equals to the result dot the data from here. So why it is I have to set as a var, right? So var max ID and result data dot to to why don't I have int? So it is any, so I need to cast it as a int. Okay, so that should be fine. And after that we can just go cut this section and just remove all of this. So just we are trying to sort on it. So over here we'll just go and call the max ID, make use of the max ID everywhere. Okay, so that should sort on all of our things. Okay, that's look fine, right? So you can also try it different ways. So we can do the same thing in a different way. I think this is much shorter. So just create a variable of max ID by default of a 0. And if it is not null, then we are going to set the ID that we are receiving from the DB, and then we are going to perform all of this action. Otherwise, this will be by default as a 0. And then I think here, if the result is of not null, then okay, that should be fine. And then I can just, I can remove this one. Now I don't need all of this, so I can remove that one. So that's look much cleaner, and yeah, that will look much cleaner over here. And I think that should be enough for this session. So on the next lecture we will go and implement all of this in our the activity that is for the activity for our home view model. So let's meet up in the next lecture. Till then, have a great day.